joke writer. Please, Ottawa's own, make her feel welcome, everybody. Diane Skoll, everyone.
Hey, thank you, everybody. I'm not exactly Ottawa's own. I was born in South Africa, which explains the accent. But from age 11 to 23, I grew up in Newfoundland. So when people, yeah, fellow Newfoundlander. So when people ask where I'm from, I like to fuck with them, and I'm like, well, me darling, oh, he's from South Africa, Johannesburg. When we come to Canada, all our stuff was 6 months late, because you see, the ship broke down halfway across the bloody Atlantic. I'd like to meet the guy that built that boat. I'm also transgender. I'm a transgender woman. And so in the entire city of Ottawa, I'm a transgender South African Newfie Jewish atheist comedian. Thank you. And in the entire city of Ottawa, there are only 12 of us. And only one other named Diane. But she sucks. I have a day job. I studied electrical engineering, which means that my degree is double E and my cup size is double A. There is one smaller than A. So what you see here is 75% big pharmaceutical, 20% structural engineering, and 5% strategically applied bronzer. I had to get that off my chest. Because I don't like to put up a false front. When a groan, thank you! When I came out, my mother had some questions for me. I was at her apartment installing a ceiling fan, and she's like, so when you're a girl, are you going to be able to do stuff like that? So I said, of course, Mom. The lobotomy's optional. She was worried about my safety, but I'm like, this is Ottawa. Come on, what's going to happen? Like, a bunch of cannibals going to set upon me or something? She goes, well, it could happen. I said, no problem. They don't eat hormone-infused meat. Or trans fats. I'm up to 2 groans. You gotta up your game here. So in the whole LGBT thing, I'm the T, and I was an activist in my youth, and I decided to start a political party to advance our cause. It was called the Tea Party. Unfortunately, most of our membership were confused right-wingers, and the ones that weren't transitioned across to the opposition. But talking of right-wing, I do like to read right-wing news sites. They cheer me up. Because, like, you read the regular news sites, like, oh, transgender people are discriminated against, we have a high rate of suicide, high rates of poverty, we're murdered at crazy rates. It's really depressing. But when you read Breitbart, or one of those rags, it's like, transgender people control the schools. That's power. We control the media. See, now I'm Jewish, so I control the media twice. It's awesome. Some right-wingers say that transgender people are destroying civilization. Now that's real power. I feel like phoning up Kim Jong-un and saying, Kim, you don't need nukes, just put on a dress. So, I think he's actually picturing that. So, one of the things that people probably wonder when they meet a transgender person is, you know, has she had the surgery? So, like, don't ever ask. That's a dickish move because it's private. And also, just because somebody hasn't had the surgery doesn't make them less trans. Some people don't want it. Some people can't have it. And it's really invalidating to put everything onto that surgery. So yeah, I had the surgery. I had to go out to Montreal a couple of days before and stay at a bed and breakfast. On the morning of the surgery, the cab pulled up in front of the clinic, and I'm like, yeah, this is the right place, because there was one of those trucks parked outside. You know, the 1-800-GOT-JUNK truck. I'm laughing at her. I hope this doesn't count to my time. So, after the surgery, we went to a recovery center for a few days. They had like a French chef cooking us the most amazing meals. Thank you, OHIP. And after the surgery, what you have to do is dilate. And what that basically means is you play with sex toys multiple times per day. It's not as much fun as it sounds. It's really boring in both senses of the word. Newfoundlanders, half an hour late. So I was complaining about this to her friend, and I said to her, you know, dilating is such a pain in the ass. And she's like, oh, darling, I think you're doing it wrong. She's South African too. I do have a boyfriend. I met him online, of all places, and I had to be really honest when I met him. So I sat him down and I said, listen, Wayne, there's something really, really important about me that you have to know. And if it's a deal breaker, I get it. And he's like, all freaked out. He's, what is it? So I said, well, I do stand up. And you will appear in my sets. He stuck with me, luckily, which is great, because I love him very much, and he's great material. After the operation, we had to wait 12 weeks before we could have sex, intercourse. So on the big day, finally the big reveal, he finally saw me completely naked, and he took a good long look, and he's like, wow, that's so realistic. And I said, they can do amazing things now. And he just looked at me and said, we can do amazing things now. And on that note, you've been a wonderful audience, and I'd like to thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.